Hey everybody, welcome back to Word Balloon. If you enjoy the videos here, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the Word Balloon YouTube channel, and of course, if you enjoy the audios and the videos, you could subscribe to my Patreon page, patreon.com/wordballoon. Joe Pruett, welcome to Word Balloon. It's great to have you on,
Right.
and I do want to talk about what's going on at Aftershock, but give me your origin story first of how you got into comics.
Great. Thanks for having me, John. Sure. Getting into comics back in 1989 when I was a wee young lad. I must have been 8 when I graduated college, apparently. Um, I didn't have a job, but I know I always wanted to work in comics. And about that time, I kind of dropped out of comics reading as a collector in college when I realized, I needed money for other things.
Absolutely. We all did back then,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
It's so
dating,
funny.
etc.
People
Yeah.
that don't drop the habit. No, exactly. College comes up and all of a sudden we can't read comics anymore.
That's right. That's right. So, but by the time my senior year in college, I guess I had a steady girlfriend at the time, and I would go visit her in the summer when she was working as a waitress at a steakhouse, and I had nothing to do. I didn't want to just hang out at her family's house, so I started driving around town and I found a comic shop, and then got addicted again. But I started picking up stuff I had missed in college, like Alan Moore's Swamp Thing and Watchmen, etc. And one book I really was a big fan of in high school was Cerebus. And so I picked up some back issues of Cerebus, and one issue, I think it was number 104, had appearance of the Flaming Carrot. And I had always, for several years, heard of the Flaming Carrot, and it's intriguing. When I read it in Cerebus, I realized, well, this is a kind of cool character. Maybe check out some of the back issues. And I found they created Bob Burton, lived in Atlanta. I went to the University of Georgia, an hour away, but Bob went to the University of Georgia, and I noticed that he also used assistants, and he credited them in his comics. So I was like, wow, okay, well, let me send him a letter, before emails and before internet. And so I just sent him a letter out of the blue and say, hey, look, I just graduated college. I was an English major, comic fan. I've always worked in business. I see you use assistants. I'm a writer and an artist, and I would love to learn the business from you, and I'd be willing to work for free. And I just sent him a note, and to my surprise, 3 weeks later, he called me up.
Wow.
And asked me to come meet him. And so I did, and he offered me a job as assistant, which I did on a regular basis for a few years. And that's how I got into comics. So I think I was going to be an artist. With Bob, I kind of did the panel borders. I would do, Roxanne was teaching me how to letter. I would do a lot of transcribing for him. He would walk around with a tape recorder. And any thought he had, he would record and then give it to me to transcribe into notes, which was so much fun, which I really hated.
I can't imagine getting inside of Bob Burton's head. That's fantastic, man.
Well, it was
that kind of access,
Yeah, the funny thing is that Bob, if he would have gone, he wouldn't stop talking. So I'll have to go to him. I'll listen to it, and I go, Bob, can you tell me what this says? And he'll give it to me, and then come back and say it says blah 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 blah. I said, why don't you just try to yawn and talk? So I did that for a while, but so learned the business and meeting a lot of people, and I worked with Bob from '89 to '92. I guess around '90 I took a full time job as well, or part time that led to full time. So I was still doing Bob on the side a little bit, but going out and meeting people, go to conventions with Bob, helping in his booth, and going out to dinners and parties and stuff in San Diego, et cetera, and networking. And so from that, I decided I was not going to be an artist right away, because the first people I met in comics with Bob's friends were Brian Ball and Dave Stevens, and Dave Sim, by the way. And
wow.
I was like, I'm not going to be an artist because I can't draw like that. So I'm going to stick to being a writer.
Okay.
And I ended up hooked up with Paul Jenkins at Tundra Comics. He was an editor at the time before he was a writer, and he liked the project I was creating. And when Tundra went belly up, I ended up over at Caliber Comics. I don't know if Paul sent me to Caliber, I can't remember, or the artist sent us to Caliber. And I remember Gary Reed calling me up and asking me about it. I told the artist I wasn't going to work with him anymore because he was kind of a flake. And so, he had to tell Gary, and Gary called me and goes, do you want to do this or not? And I was like, no, I really don't. Not with him. So,
sure.
And about 6 months later, or a few months later, whatever it was, I kind of reached back out to Gary. Said, okay, let's try it. Then the artist, of course, flaked out like I knew he would. It never came out with him. So I went through a couple other artists before it ever came out. It was a book I did called Kilroy Is Here. In the meantime, we started up a book called Negative Burn.
Yes.
So I decided I'll be an editor.
Yes.
So we started that up, and that became an ongoing monthly 50 issue run oversize every issue. And that's how, again, I started networking with who can I get in the book? Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman, Mobius, et cetera, et cetera.
That's
And then
amazing, man.
and
Yeah.
then find a bunch of new talent like, a Paul Pope and a Jeff Smith and, John Cassaday, et cetera. Andrew
Don Kramer,
Robinson.
didn't he do some negative burn for you?
John Kramer?
Or Don Kramer, excuse me.
Oh, Don Kramer. Don Kramer worked with me on Kilroy towards the
Oh,
end.
that's later. Okay, okay.
It's funny you mentioned Don because I actually just hired Don to do a short story for me, and it's the
Hey,
first
that's awesome.
first time I worked with Don since over 20 years.
That's excellent, man. Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Because I mean, I get to know Gary and a lot of the Caliber back catalog and stuff. So I saw Negative Burn. Did Bradstreet do Negative Burn?
Bradstreet was in issue number one at Negaburn as an inker. He inked Andrew Robinson. No,
Funny.
he wrote he inked Guy Burrell, a Kilroy story in the first issue. He also later inked a thing with Andrew Robinson for me that was supposed to be at Axis Comics, which is Larry Stroman's comic company after split off from Image, which died quickly.
Okay.
But yeah, Bradstreet was there in the early days. It was a lot of fun. It was great fun, and so I started there, became editor, became the creative director, became like the talent scout for Caliber. Where my idea at Caliber was it was a company where you start your career, moved on. Why don't we go grab people who have careers and can come back and have fun, make your money at Marvel and DC, but have your fun projects here.
Yeah.
So that was pretty. That's how I met Garth Ennis and several other people I've worked with still to today.
Yes.
It's through that avenue in that company, and then I left there and ended up somehow or another writing in the X-Men office for a few years, which was like being a kid again. I was playing a lot of cool toys, and then when I left there, started Desperado Publishing.
Yes, that's when I knew you. That's when I first met you. Go on.
Which I partnered with Image Comics a couple of years, solo for a couple of years, and then IDW for about 5 or so, doing that. But that eventually ended up being just more of the art book line because at the time it was not a good time for comics. Image was down. The economy tanked as soon as I left Image, of course. So it tanked my company for the most part. That's why I had to partner with IDW.
Was this like 2001 or 2008 economy tanking?
That was 2008.
Okay, I'm with you now. Go on.
Yeah. So I partnered back up with the IDW, stayed alive, and just focused more on the art books because they were the things that were selling and making money. Excuse me. Did that for a while, and then kind of honestly, took a little sabbatical, trying to figure out what my next move was going to be. I had full-time jobs all the time as well. And then after playing around with a couple of potential new companies, playing around with IDW a little bit about starting a creator-owned imprint for them, end up with Aftershock.
Yeah, so tell me the philosophy behind Aftershock, because there's you and Mike Martz, and it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but much like you're in some of your previous capacities, you're a talent wrangler and stuff, and you're a guy that's the creators are pitching your books or their books or ideas to you. But yeah, was Aftershock already existing when you came aboard,
No.
or were you part of the inception?
No, I was one of the founders, I would say. Basically, Lee Kramer, who's our president of Aftershock, him and I became friends when he was a TV exec at Mandalay Films. He had picked up Kilroy is Here, my old Caliber book, for film development. And even they eventually left the company and it kind of fell apart. But we remained in contact. When I go to LA, we'll have a lunch or go catch a Dodgers game or something, just have a conversation, every 6 months.
Sure.
And during one of those lunches, I remember him saying that one thing he was doing, he started his own production company, and he was also helping raise capital for film and TV projects. So 6 months later, when I had, there was a few, prominent creators who were talking to me about helping them put together a new Image type company. I would, be the business guy for it and the wrangler. And and so at the time I thought we'd need money, and I was like, well, this conversation 6 months ago with Lee Kramer said he raises film, financing. I was like, well, maybe he can help us raise money, and we can help him have IP for his company,
Sure.
to go out and pitch. So we made a partnership there. We had a New York City real estate developer who will remain unnamed, who was going to put in X amount of money, and then after about 6 months of me going back and forth with him, doing 5-year spreadsheets and forecasting, et cetera. And every time I go to him, he'll go, that's great. Can we make it work for a little bit less money? And then, yeah, that's great. Can we do it a little bit less initial investment? So by the end of the day, it was like half the original investment he had promised. And he goes, okay, sign the contract, and we'll I'll put the money in the bank tomorrow. I got the contract. It was like a hostile takeover of the company.
Wow.
So I talked to my partners and I said, "You guys believe this?" And he's like, "Well, tell him what he can do to himself."
Ah, ah,
So I said, "Yeah." I said, "Did you not think I was going to read the we had a conversation yesterday. We went over all the points in the contract yesterday, and the contract I got today had none of those points in it that we agreed to." He goes, "Well, it's my money." I said, "Well, keep your money.
sure.
We're going elsewhere." And eventually that didn't happen. But then a couple of years later, me and Lee hadn't talked for a little bit, and I got a email from Lee saying, "Hey, my father, who's John Kramer, our CEO, and I, Bob, we're talking about, we have some partners. We might want to do this new company. Are you still interested in putting one together?" And that's how Aftershock was formed. And I went and, contacted Mike Martz and say, "Hey, you're going to come join this new venture with me," because I didn't want to, honestly, I didn't want to be the face of the company, and I didn't want to do it by myself. Mike was a guy I worked with when I was doing X-Men books, and I thought he would be a great person to have as a partner, and he has been, and he was, and here we are.
So, how editorially does it work, Joe? Do you both get involved creatively? Yeah, tell me about the
Yeah,
breakdown of
yeah. At the
the.
start, it was more like that. But as the company has grown, I've graduated more into the business side of things. I mean, I love the creative part, and I like to do more creative. But Mike's handles most of the day to day. Excuse me, and especially the monthly book series. We brought in Christina Harrington to help him out on that side as well. So they kind of do all the monthly books. As far as creativity, what I do now is, besides being the talent wrangler, I still go out and try to grab some of the top talent to come work with us. Because
Sure.
I just like doing that.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I thought Mike would be the guy who brought in the top talent, and I would be the guy who bring all the new talent. And it's actually kind of reversed. He's the
Interesting.
one. He's the one who's been like the finding the new talent and bringing them in, like Donna Cates back in the day, or Marguerite Bennett, and a lot of people we're working with today. And I've been the guy who went out and got the Paul Jenkins and the Amanda Connors, et cetera, and Warren Ellis's and stuff. So it's kind of funny that way how it worked out. So what I kind of do creatively is I work more on the special projects, because we're always trying to think of different formats and different avenues to explore. And by doing that, so like last year we attempted some hardcover original graphic novels, like done the French European album format with like Garth Ennis and Colin Bunn and Marguerite Bennett. And so that's
Yes.
something I started doing. And again, we did the Shock anthology, which was kind of like the forebear to those other projects I mentioned. Because again, for a reason, I can't get away from anthologies, and I like to do them. So I did the Shock, the first volume anthology, with the Neil Gaimans and the Azraels and everybody else we had in there.
Yeah.
And that did so well, we decided to do a second volume. But we didn't. I like the big oversized format, and that
Yeah.
did well. So let's try it with some original series. So one and done. So you read them and they're done.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about an ongoing series. And by doing that format, I thought, well, the artists and the writers both love it because it gives the art a lot of attention and makes it look a lot better. And everybody seems to like, at least creatively, everybody seems to like the European format, except for the American buying public.
Really?
Yeah, I always say half the retailers loved the format and half the retailers hated it. They said,
Is it a problem with shelving it? I mean,
yeah,
or
I see
just
that.
selling it in general? I mean, because you're right. And I mean, honestly, and certainly during the shutdown, I think everyone's looking at the monthly right now and saying, well, what is the future of the monthly? I don't know. But again, yeah, I can appreciate you playing with these other formats. So yeah, the people that don't like it, what are they what are they telling you?
Well, again, it's too big. Or, some people, retailers, I can't compete with Amazon for hardcover prices. So,
Okay. Okay.
so it's a little bit both. I look at, because I think we're moving towards being a binge generation. We binge our TV shows now. Um, and a lot of people now wait for the trade format. They might buy the first issue. Do I like this? I'll buy the trade.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. No, I'll confess to that as well. As a
Yeah.
buyer, absolutely.
And even me, as a lifelong collector, um, I have now moved. Now, I'm not even a trade collector. I'm a hardcover collector. So I'll wait the year for Saga Volume 3 to come out or something,
Sure.
as opposed. I mean, I bought the first 30 or so issues. If I have friends who have books that I think they need my support, I'll buy those singles.
I'm hip.
But if there's somebody like Brian K. Vaughan who I know doesn't need my money, I'll wait for the hardcover to put on my shelf and read all at once. I'll
Yeah,
binge it
man.
once a year.
Sure.
So that's why I was thinking in that format, because I guess I'm leaning more towards what my tastes are, and see if anybody else has the same taste I do. because I like the prestige format and
Oh yeah.
the nice collection to put on my bookshelf and show off. And again, I've got a warehouse, a storage unit full of long boxes and comics that I'm paying, a monthly fee for. I'm like, well, how much am I spending a month just to store these? Or a year? I'm like, I'm spending, thousands of dollars. And, honestly, most of my collection today, I've sold off most of my really good collection back in times when I needed cash.
Okay.
But most of my collection today is, I'd be happy, if I wouldn't have sold them, if I got $1 a piece for them, that would be, the end game. So I'm like, why am I paying thousands of dollars a year for books that are worth $1 a piece or less,
Yeah, yeah.
which I'm still doing, but I'm trying to go on. Cause I'm also, I don't want to pay it, sell them for, a nickel each or to a
Well, of course.
retailer.
No, I'm
So I still have that hoarder mentality. But if I can get like a big hardcover or, and put it on my bookshelf, which again, I'm running out of space for that now too. I don't need all the singles. So like even now, I'm going back to, I mentioned Sarah Russell, I'm going back now and buying the phone books, the tape paperbacks, because I had the collection, but I don't want to have to go through and pull every one out of my bag to read every issue. I want to be able to read all at once and just make it easier for me.
I'm in. I can appreciate that. That's hilarious. And truly, now, as everyone knows, Aftershock has been a sponsor for Balloon. I'm greatly appreciative of that,
No
and
problem.
it's a wonderful relationship, and it's been my pleasure. And truly, you have great books. You
Thank you.
guys go to these creators. It sounds like that same philosophy that you were doing with Negative Burn and Desperado in terms of, hey, by all means, work for the big two when you need to and do your superhero books. Come have fun with us and really explore other genres. And I love the genre splicing that I'm seeing, where it's a Western science fiction or it's a police procedural with supernatural stuff in it. So yeah, obviously, again, this seems to be a staple of the kind of books you've always put out, whether it was a Caliber or Desperado.
Yeah, I think it goes back to when I started as a independent comic collector. I discovered about Pacific Comics and Eclipse Comics,
Oh yeah,
and they were all over the place. And
yep,
I've always, I went to Caliber Comics; they're all over the place. When I started Negative Burn, I published what I liked, and the same thing to Aftershock. We don't look for a specific genre or a style that we need to have. We look for a good story. So if we
sure.
like the story, no matter what genre it's in, it was like we'll publish it. And as far as like recruiting the name guys, that's great. That's good and it gets your attention. But at the same time, the same thing with like Negative Burn. Um, the name people get you the attention, but the heart and soul are the new voices,
Absolutely.
the up and comers. And the same thing Aftershock as a company in general. It's the new voices that we're finding as well. That Mike's and Lee and everybody's doing a great job helping find. That is the heart and soul of Aftershock, and the name creators like working with, but they are the window dressing. It's like, look at us over here, and by the way, look at this other great stuff we're publishing that you may not be.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. No, and truly, Matthew Klickstein, Stephanie Phillips. I mean,
yeah,
I'm reading them for the first time, and it's their Aftershock books, and they're great, fresh ideas,
right.
and and it's terrific, and absolutely, man. I'm looking for the genres that I really appreciate, like a good crime story. I'm glad that oh God, Killer Groove,
Yep,
Ollie Masters.
yep,
And I mean, I read The Kitchen, blown away by The Kitchen at Vertigo, and I'm really glad that he came to you guys
yeah.
with
He's a
the
great new
next book
voice.
and everything. It's terrific. So yeah, stuff like that, and no, it's really been a pleasure. And also, what's coming up look great too. I mean, when I saw you at C2E2, again, I always refer to it as the last con standing.
It was, yeah.
But I was really admiring a lot of the new stuff that was coming from Aftershock. And also, obviously, I'm sure you're relieved as well that soon, Diamond will be back in production. And I know already on the Aftershock website, and I've even been talking about it on my commercials as well for Aftershock, some of the new product that's immediately coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. I mean, this year has actually been a very, all things considered,
Yeah, yeah.
this year, publishing wise, we were hitting home runs. They were coming out. People were getting excited about our product, with Man Who Left Up Time, God Killers and Undone by Blood. All books were coming out and doing well sales wise, getting a lot of attention, creatively, excitement from, the Hollywood side of things as well. Yeah, it seemed like we had a resurgence and a rebirth as far as like everything we're putting out, everybody was liking. And everything you put out, because we are, we scatter a little bit. You're not going to like everything yourself personally. That's just the way of the business, But we had enough, this year, I think everything we're putting out was honestly a home run. So, and the sales warranted that, and the reviews warranted it. And
that's great.
So unfortunately, at the time when the pandemic hit, bad timing for us, but bad time for everybody. Let's just be honest.
Sure.
But we had a momentum, which I think we can recapture. And what we're doing, and I've told us to read. I've been having a lot of Zoom calls to retailers just to touch base and see here's what we're doing. Here, how are you doing? Books we might have put out originally for like May and June and July. We're going to pull them up in the fall and make them. Okay. We don't want to get lost when everybody else can come out with 2 months or so worth of releases.
Sure.
And we don't want to be we want these books to be able to breathe and be seen. So we're going to push them back and allow them, let everybody else get their stuff out first. Have these books come in the fall, be fresh again. Undone by Blood, books like that we already have. Those are continuing. They'll be available when they are out. We have Disaster Inc. and Dead Day, which were April releases. Those will come out the first part of June or late May, whichever one.
Late May, it sounds like on the solicits and what's on the website. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll keep them out. Those were, orders were good and excitement. What we do with the second issue is going to push into August.
Okay, and I was going to ask regarding Stephanie's book, Artemis and the Assassins, which I thought had an amazing first issue. Came out in March, right before the shutdown.
Yeah,
so will that be pushed? Will 2 come out in August, or will it come out sooner?
No, it'll come out sooner. It'll come because it may have already been printed. I can't remember. Okay. But we have some books at Diamond Warehouse already sitting there.
Sure.
The Walk Through Hell hardcover is sitting, is ready to go. It's been printed. So we'll probably
yeah.
Which is a beautiful. I have advanced copies. It's a beautiful book, and it's a great series.
Right? It didn't go.
Yeah, Goran. Right.
Beautiful. No, great story, man. Absolutely psyched for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite series we've done. So it's again for those binge readers who want to read it in a nice format. It's going to be available in June. So we're being cautious, and keep in mind that even through stores may be reopening soon. In a lot of areas, some stores aren't, and also customers may not be running back out to the store right away. Some will, some won't. So it's think about that for the retailers as well, who have had a couple of really tough months right now.
100%, man.
Yeah.
No, I understand it. Believe me, and that's why I really liked Steve Rotterdam at your place and everything. Is like, hey, make sure you're stressing the fact that Aftershock is working with the retailers and encouraging readers to call them and say, hey, what Aftershock backstock do you have? And then really go from that standpoint as well. Plus, I really liked what you were doing online too, every Wednesday and offering pages a day from existing Aftershock books. That's been really nice.
Let's get some new readers out there for product we have that were shown to be good sellers and popular titles. And not only are we working with retailers and considering them, we're also still working with our creators. Unlike several companies, for whatever reasons, who have pencils down or keyboard down, whatever. If you're a writer, we've continued operating business as usual. We're not stopping people from working. If anything, we're actually hiring more than we were before this happened. And again, we have another format we'll probably test out in the fall where I can grab creators now who have pencils down and say, hey, let's do something short. So that way you can get it done while you need the money right now and while you're not working, and get it done. And then when everybody else is open again for business, you go back to your day job and do that. But right now, it's keep you working and do something fun.
That's great, man. Well, and again, so maybe you're planning another Shock anthology? Is that possible?
I'm not doing another Shock at the moment, but we are doing, again, a new format I'm going to try where we have one and done stories. It won't be the European format. I may still try 1 or 2 of those. I do have a couple lined up that kind of I won't say we're pausing. I'm trying to see what's the right format to put them in now. So the OGN line, the hardcovers, I would say half worked and half didn't.
Okay.
Not because of the story. The stories are all great. I let them all. But just because I don't know if the format works for enough to keep doing it in that format. But so we'd try something different with the same kind of quality creators doing shorter stories that are one and dones. And we can always do
would they be the size of a single comic? Would they be 40 pages? Would they be 20 pages?
But
You
look at
still
more,
working that out?
40 to 48 page stories.
Cool.
Okay.
That's great, man.
So,
Well, and again, you and I being a bit older and stuff than some of the buyers and stuff, those are the best things, man. Like I go back to, and maybe it was only 30 pages, but like the original What If,
yeah,
I like a good one shot that has room to breathe. And
right.
I think that's a great idea. I'm glad that you're thinking along those lines. That's terrific, man.
Yeah, we don't believe in keeping the status quo. Yeah, we're a comic book publisher. Monthlies are the bread and butter for both retailers and for us. But there's two types of comic book readers today. There's a reader who, again, are the binge readers, or the ones who aren't the collectors but are the readers. And then you have the collectors who want the single issues, which you have to cater to both of them.
Of course.
Uh, and
No, and it's a tough balance. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, so we're just always trying to think of something new and fresh to try, hopefully. Um, so yeah, I would say actually we're getting flooded with submissions right now, and a lot
That's
of people,
excellent.
yeah, a lot of people we worked with in the earlier days, we'll say some talent, or coming home for new projects. So
That's great. That's
yeah,
good to hear. Hey, man, seriously, I mean, I loved Ray Fox's crime comic from, was it called
yeah,
Jackpot, I think, a couple of years
Jackpot,
ago?
one of our first ones. Yeah,
One of my favorites, absolutely. And I think it's smart. I mean, you did do like with Wade, Captain Hero. I want to say, wasn't that what his book was called?
geez, Captain Kidd. Yeah,
Captain Kidd, excuse me.
yeah,
Yeah, and so you kind of dabbled a little bit with superheroes here and there.
yeah, Captain Kidd,
Um,
Super Zero. Yeah,
right, right. But yeah, I kind of like the Vertigo-esque, kind of, for a lack of a better description, in terms of that you are playing with other genres, and like you said, you're just looking really for good stories. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate yours and Mike's taste, and
that's
forgive
right.
me, your other editor. What's your other editor's name?
Christina.
Christina. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I
and,
don't know how
and then
much
also
she's.
Lee Kramer, our president. Yeah, and our president, Lee Kramer, is in all the creative meetings and has a vote, yes or no, kind
Okay.
of. So,
Is there any sort of
uh,
are books like, I mean, are you willing to do a book that has nudity, or, I mean, you certainly have had books
well,
with.
obviously, have you ever seen Insects?
Totally forgot about insects. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
So, so we're not afraid to push the button. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's good to hear. Well, and honestly, no, I remember another creator that I think does have a couple. I won't name names, but someone that did pitch something at Aftershock and wound up someplace else, and I'm like, oh, I'm surprised that Aftershock passed on that. I mean, again, obviously, you guys, well, whatever, you should be thinking of your own taste and not worrying about what a reader wants, because ultimately we don't know what we want as readers and stuff, and it truly, it's like you guys are tastemakers, and you guys should be the ones going, yeah, let's try that. That sounds good to us.
Well, the hope is that the collector and the readers and the retailers will realize that we have good taste and trust our taste. And I think we've been seeing that a lot this year. A couple years ago we had the home run after home run after home run as well. So, so I think we have a good track record, and people trust us. So let's hopefully that continues, or actually more people start trusting us. We get more sales.
I'm glad that people like Donny Cates with Baby Teeth and Marguerite with Insects and pardon me, Animosity
Yeah,
are sticking with you, and Garth is sticking with you with new projects, which is great. Seeley and Cullen Bunn, but also again these new voices that you're finding in Matthew Klickstein and Stephanie has
yeah.
immediately come to mind and stuff. And no, man, I think it's a great mix of talent, and I'm glad. I'm glad the imprint exists. And as always, I thank you guys for the sponsorship as well, man. I'm happy to promote the books, and I genuinely believe in them. I think you guys have a lot of really great ideas coming out of there.
Thanks. And it's funny, the names you just mentioned, the creators, I would say right now we just approved 3 new ones from those creators, at least a couple of them this past week. So more of that coming up.
Outstanding, man. Well, listen, I know you've got another Zoom call coming shortly, and I'll give you a
Yep.
chance to decompress and recharge and stuff.
Appreciate it, buddy.
But hey, man, a few months down the line, maybe when these one shots come out, let's hopefully reconvene in the fall and do
Yeah.
another
Yep.
chat.
Think
That
the
would be
fall.
great.
Think the fall. It'd be nice. And I'm very excited about them because the things I'm helping spearhead too. Because it gets my creative juices going. But yeah, we're doing great. I appreciate your support and everybody out there who's listening to this right now. Your support. And if you haven't tried us before, give us a shot. There's something there for everybody. And I promise if you try something, you want to try something else.
Well, and the great thing is people can go to the website. I always say it in the commercials, Aftershock Comics, because you have preview pages and the full story descriptions. People get a good sense of what they might want to purchase from Aftershock, and just by going to the website. And honestly, Joe, no lie, man, ever since Mike Perkins introduced me years ago at, I want to say, the FX Con back in Florida, good Lord, more than 10 years ago, I've always appreciated your taste and the things that you find interesting and stuff. So keep it up, man. Keep up the great work, and congratulations on finding a great home at Aftershock and, really helping contribute to the great creative stuff that we've been getting in comics lately.
I appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks again for watching another Word Balloon video. We've got plenty more at our channel, Word Balloon. If you enjoyed it, please like it and consider subscribing to the channel. And of course, support me on Patreon, patreon.com/wordballoon. Thanks a lot for watching.